How was the drive up here? Did it take ages for you?
Nah, bro, it took like 30 minutes. Yeah, it's a good, nice drive, eh?
Oh,
Especially now with that new motorway.
Yeah, hard.
Finding it, eh?
Well, is your kid just gone to the park?
He's gone to Adventure Park with my dad.
Oh, yo,
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Fuck, I did the building work there.
Oh, true.
Is it the one in Albany? Was it actually called Adventure
The one
Park?
that's 10 minutes away from here. It's
Wait.
called Adventure Park. It's got like a luge.
Oh, Silverdale.
Silverdale, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Remember we took Tommy there for that birthday party? They've got like a...
They got a carnot, like a merry-go-round randomly under like a...
Remember
like a
with
sun
Finn?
cover.
Oh, down that hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a ugly ass
Yeah,
driveway with
yeah.
like massive potholes.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got visitors? No.
No, it's...
Tapu.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, I got the sign off.
Yo.
Matua was like, yeah, you can
Well,
go
fuck. To me, nice to have you on here anyway, bro. I was fucking excited as for this, even though it's been a long time in the works. Like, it's been like, oh, yeah, we can do it now. And then, oh, no. Oh, yeah, we'll do it now. And then one cancels, another one cancels.
Yeah, I think I've had 2 fights since we've started trying to do this, eh?
But
That's
at least we're here
crazy.
now, though.
Yeah, hard.
Wow, that's sick. So, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Shane Young. I'm from Napier. I guess I'll even tell you, so you don't know all of it. Like,
Tell us.
So I was born in Napier, Maraenui, Napier. Raised by a single mum. Left there when we were 7. I was 7, so she moved up here. I think she would have been like 25 or 26. And then just kept going back to Napier in the school holidays, but went to school in East Auckland at Panmure Bridge Primary. Had a massive break when I got given this thing. Well, I like was pretty good at school, and there was this one lady who was like quite a wealthy like she wasn't that wealthy, but she started a thing called the Gifted Kids program, and it meant she would take 1 or 2 kids from like 5 different schools around East Auckland, and then take them all to one school for 1 day a week, and we'd learn like extracurricular stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So all the like low decile schools. So I did that for like 2 years, and that was good because it like saved me from like always being at like, I don't know, just gave me like more options outside of the school that I was at. And then a teacher there also saw like potential in me and signed up for, well, she did my application to Dilworth. Do you know the story of Dilworth? Other than all the like not the touching stuff, not the old stuff, not the stuff that's going to be on the news tomorrow. Nah, so the story of Dilworth is that there was this guy called James Dilworth, and he had he left in his will like $100,000, and they owned all of Newmarket, where Dio is, like Barradine. Oh,
Are these
St.
schools?
Cuthbert's. These are
Yeah,
these
these
are like
are
real
like-
rich schools, bro.
Oh, okay,
All the real rich private schools.
Oh,
So
yeah,
he
yeah.
owned all this land like 110 years ago, and him and his missus, they couldn't have kids, so he wanted to create a school for orphans, and but he died before it could happen, so his wife carried on his legacy and put it in his will, so she took in 12 orphans into their home, and they just had all these this farmland, and then it's gone from there to now it's a school over 2 campuses with like 900 students, and they pay $55,000, like the trust board funds $55,000 a year per child, and they do like I went from the lowest decile primary school to just the like King's College, St. Kentigern College version of education, but it is boarding, and I mean I did get my butt touched, but it was worth it. Nah, I did not at all.
Soul to soul.
Yeah. Nah, I didn't at all. My nan was too smart. When she found out I was going to a boarding school with like Catholics, she was like, every day she'd call me, she's like, don't let anyone touch you. I'm like, yeah, Nan. Yeah.
Yes, man.
I mean, it had nothing to do with why I became a fighter, but I'll tell you what. But yeah, and then so I was real studious at school, and then 13, I think. So I never thought I was an athlete, because I was always like getting bullied, and all my cousins back home were like real tough. All my uncles were real tough, so I was like, I don't know. And I was white. They're all like, some of them are so black that in the summer they turn purple.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, 13, I just started getting like abs, and I was like, fuck, I think I maybe actually could be an athlete, and I was far enough away from home that I could create like a new persona.
Yeah, yeah.
Then no one knew me there. You know,
Yeah.
I'd only been at that school 2 years, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just try to be like tough or whatever. And then I actually got into martial arts through my best mate, and we started doing graffiti together. And I was real deep in it because of where I lived in Kingsland, and I didn't have a lot of supervision, like from my old lady. So we just jump over my fence, and then there was this real hectic area called the combat zone back in the day. Do you know this guy Askew? He's like quite funny and Burst.
Yeah.
So they were like real active at the time.
Is it the G-Back boys? Or?
Yeah. So
yeah.
that was like in the heyday before the great buff of like 2009 for the World Cup.
Yeah, I used to graph hard as well.
Oh yeah, that's what we talked about. Yeah. So do you remember the combat zone in Kingsland?
Nah.
Or it's like you know where it's basically in the Kingsland area, but that whole train tracks from like Morningside all the way to Newmarket side, just walk up and down there, like sort of get up to Mischief. But then he was a bit like he only had his auntie, he didn't have his mum and dad, so he was like his own version of, you know, like tough. So then he took this fella Evander, his name, he used to write Excuse. He was going to a MMA gym in East Auckland. And then because we were best mates and like real tight, we'd always do graffiti together. He was like, do you want to come and do this? And I was like still a little bit like, nah, I don't really want to. But because it was my best mate and I didn't want to look like a pussy, I was like, yeah, bro, I'll come do it. Like, I was like, sort of like rugby. I started playing rugby at that point. But then he showed me a video. We did like one class. And it was like sort of like grappling, and I'd done a bit of wrestling at school because at Dilworth they make you it's compulsory.
In your room or?
Nah, not my room, their room. in the principal's office. So I did a bit of wrestling, and then I was like, oh, this is it. Like this seems alright. Like I could probably I figure this out. And then he's like, yeah, this is what we're training. It's called MMA. And then he showed me the fight. Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz. You know, one where he's like smacks him up against the fence, and I was like, gee, this isn't wrestling. He's punching him. He's like, yeah, bro. And he's like, don't you want to do that? I was like, yeah, bro. Yeah, I want to do that.
Fuck, they were like heavy hitters as well. They were like the OGs.
There was probably only like 3, not even that long before I started, because I would have had my first fight like 2009 or 2010.
Oh, shit.
So that fight would have been like 2007.
Yeah.
So it was still pretty like it was all happening there. It was still pretty new, but I was like still at the cusp of the sport, like is starting to break through. And then after training a little bit, maybe like 3 times a week, I actually ended up having a fight like 3 months later. But it was all just through like just not saying no. They'd just be like, oh man, do you want to spar? And I was like, fuck, I've only done like 3 lessons and you want me to spar? And I was like, yeah, okay. Then we start doing sparring, and then they're like, do you want to spar? Like bigger dudes. It's like, yeah, okay. And then my mate was like, oh bro, we might do this. It was like meant to be like a hard sparring thing. And I don't know if you know Eddie the Heat Tongalahi. Oh, he's a kickboxer back in the day. And then I turned up to this pub, and it was just like all these old dudes, and they had to lie and say I was like 15, but I was like just turned 14, maybe not even 14, and they were like, oh yeah, he's 15. He's like, fuck, he doesn't look 15, looks about 11. I was like, nah, I'm 15. Then we turn up, and it's like this tiny as like only 4 square, so what, 2 meter, like mat in the middle of this pub. I turned up, I weighed in, like I actually tried to make weight, and then I was like 61. And it only had to be under 70, but I thought I had to be under 61, so I cut like a kilo and a bit.
God.
And I turned up, and I was like, oh, and it was like one of those on the day weigh-ins, and then he's like, oh, I love when fighters turn up on underweight, and I was like, what did I have to be? He's like, under 70. I was like, fuck. It's like
shit.
This grown man, and we're wearing like shin pads and gloves and stuff, and like, but just end up like going at it and fighting in this.
How much did he weigh?
Oh, he was like 69 or something.
Fuck.
But like. Oh,
How'd you go as well? How'd you feel when you had that first fight?
Oh, bro, it was pure fear, eh? I was just fighting on all fear. For like the first few years of fighting, it was all like just, I guess, like pent up aggression from bullies and stuff. So it was like me sort of like being able to actually fight back with the bullies now.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what it was. I just remember feeling like fear just the whole time. And then Like nothing was going through my head. Like my coach was trying to tell me stuff, and I was just like, fuck. My old fight style. This is what I thought about. It was like I just keep hitting them because then I couldn't get hit. So I just like swing, and then eventually my style my cardio got so good because that's just how I was just trying to defend myself basically, and I just kept winning. Ended up winning like for the first 7 years of my career. Didn't get paid for the first 5. Didn't lose a fight. Then I went to I got asked to fight in Australia.
So how old were you then?
By that time I was 21, so I fought from 14 to 21.
What gym were you with here?
It was called Ground Control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was meant to go back and talk about my first coach, Neil Swales, because he's a man. So when I was going there and I was 14, he saw something in me and my best mate, because he was actually about to leave the gym, because he used to fight when it was bare knuckle, there were no rules. He used to fly over to Australia, but pay for his own fare, have no corner. He'd just have a bucket and he'd ask someone in the crowd to just bring his bucket over, and then he'd just sit on the stool by himself, like drink some water.
Oh my God.
And then go like, yeah, and he was fighting like up at, so he would have been like a bantamweight. Yeah. He was fighting up at welterweight because there was no one.
What's the difference?
Oh, so bantamweight's like 62 kilos, welterweight is 77.
Fuck.
Yeah, so he'd be walking around like 65.
Yeah.
And then fighting guys that are cutting from like 85
Yeah,
down to 77.
Shit.
And they were like, yeah, there were no rules. I remember he said this thing. He was like, I started this thing so early because he did like jiu-jitsu, he did Muay Thai at Strike Force. He actually started the MMA program back in the day. He said he started so early that he thought he invented the sport. And people were just like doing no holds barred, but he invented doing jiu-jitsu.
What's his name?
And his name's Neil Swales.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually the head fire chief at the Auckland firefighters.
Oh, you're me.
Yeah,
So he was actually like seeking training in all those different martial arts and
yeah, when he was a young
putting
fella.
it together.
Yeah, and then somehow like the sport was already a thing, but I guess this was the days when the internet wasn't that,
we didn't.
big.
Yeah.
So he thought, but yeah, so he was about to leave the whole sport because he'd never made money in it. He was just like fighting all these big dudes, but then he saw me and my best mate come in, and he was like, I can't, because it was like, no offense to the other people there, but it was more of a jiu-jitsu gym.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't leave these kids in these guys' hands because they want to fight.
Yeah.
This is like what we were saying. Like, yeah, I want to fight. I was like, I don't want to fight, but he's saying we want to fight, and we're a team, so we want to fight. So he ended up staying, being a coach for ages, and he started this thing called ICNZ, Industry of Combat New Zealand. Like, lost 50 grand the first show they put on, lost 10 grand the next one, broke even, and then on their last show that he made like $250. But he basically just did that all just so that like me, my best mate, and here us in New Zealand had a platform to be able. Yeah. So shout out to Neil Swales. Yeah.
Man, that's sick. So what, fast forwarding back to when you're 21 going for your first fight?
Back.
Yeah.
I mean, fast forwarding forward.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
7 years fighting.
I reckon we can open that now because it's gotten really dark. The blind, the shade one. So fast forwarding back.
Babe, that's wrong. You shouldn't be saying that.
What fast forwarding back? That's an oxymoron, is it? No. So 21. That was my first loss. So I went over to Aussie. I'd been amateur for ages. Won 3 pro fights, all like by finish in the first round, and then I got asked to go and fight for the Australasian title against like this. He was like the big hometown favorite. This guy Adrian Rodriguez.
He sounds scary.
He's a Mexican dude. Yeah, road rage.
Lass.
It was called road rage because apparently he broke some guy's leg after a road rage incident. Like kicked his leg and broke his thigh bone in half, and they were like, "Oh, you should try fighting."
Holy shit!
Yeah. And I was like, yes, I was 21. He was only like 28 or something, like a little bit older than me. But we went back and forth. It was a hectic fight. We actually won Fight of the Year for Australia. Whoa. And after the fight, I did lose by split decision, but after the fight, I went around and all of his crowd, like all wearing his t-shirts, were like, "Oh boy, you got robbed." Now I was like, "But you're wearing old mate's shirt."
Yeah.
His face is on your shirt, so I was like, "Okay."
No, that's what it's like in Oz. If you don't knock them out, you're gonna lose.
Yeah. Like his. Oh, I was pretty smashed up too. I mean, maybe I could send you guys a photo if you do extra.
Yeah.
edits into
We'll
it.
put
So
it right here.
yeah, it's right there. Then I came back here, had a kickboxing fight, knocked this dude out, had a boxing fight, knocked him out, and then I went back, and he didn't want to fight me again, so I like was, bro, this was like early, but I was like I didn't even realize this till like now when it's all happening, but I used to be like a menace on Facebook. Like I used to like create shit.
Looking
but
at
I-
those throwbacks.
Yeah, looking back, I was like, I didn't realize it at the time. I just, because when you're a kid, or like back then, you kids like know now, like anytime you put something out, heaps of people see it, but you
Yeah,
only
yeah.
people that you don't even know. But I'd just be like, fuck, this guy's a pussy, and then I'd be like, oh shit, and then like I'd get calls from people like, fuck, bro, we saw that thing. I was like, what the heck? It's just on my little page or
Feed,
whatever.
yeah.
So I was calling him out on that, and then I just said, oh, let's do 5 rounds, which was unheard of back then. 5-minute rounds, like on the national scene. It wasn't
Yeah.
really like people didn't do that. So then he's like, yeah, we'll go 5 rounds. And I ended up knocking him out with a head kick. In the 3rd round, got my title, defended it once, moved up, tried to fight for the lightweight title because this guy pulled out. Actually, that was a cool fight. There was this guy, I don't know if you ever seen this video, of this guy with heaps of tattoos, and he's like stepping out this Asian guy, and then the Asian guy knocks him out in like 12 seconds, like back in the day.
Nah. If you
that
got
was
it though,
more
send
like-
it.
Oh yeah, I'll check. I'll
We'll try to find it as well.
Yeah. Well, that dude was like, he took time off, jumped on heaps of steroids, and then came back to the sport and sort of tried to do the same thing to me, but I ended up knocking him out like real quick, and that like boosted up my like viewership. And then the next big thing that happened was, I moved from ground control to city kickboxing after I knocked that guy out with a head kick. Only because my coach Neil, like, it took me ages, bro. As you know, like when you're loyal to a gym, it's
Yeah.
like, it's so, especially then I was like from 14 to 21. But he wanted me to leave for ages, but he never had the heart to tell me. But once I told him, I was like, oh, I'm going to go do some sparring at city kickboxing just to get like the looks. Because I'd run into Izzy. Oh, we'd like cross paths a few times. I shared a story about when I was a glove marshal with my best mate, and Izzy had his first MMA fight, and I'd never seen a black. Oh, I'd seen Somalians at school, but like I don't know, I'd never seen a black guy that was a fighter that was cool. He had like the high
Yeah.
thing, and he was just so stylish. And I was like, bro, I'm wrapping the black guy's hands. He's like, no, I'm wrapping his hands. And then we ended up like I wrapped his hands. Oh, I wrapped his gloves and stuff, and so I just remembered him from that. And then I'd seen that I looked him up on like Facebook and saw what gym he was at. And then fast forward like another 6 years later, he was fighting in China like quite a lot. And
Was it
he was living here.
kickboxing?
Yeah. It's when he was living there for like 10 months. And everyone back here at that time, when everyone started getting on board with like social media and stuff. I think he was on the Instagram wave years before anyone else. So like we were looking at that, and we would message back and forth. And then he said like, "Oh, bro, when I come back, you should come to city kickboxing." So I reached out to my
Is that
coach.
when you finally joined?
Well, it was like a 6-month back and forth process. So there was actually one fight where I'd said, when I went over to Aussie, and I said I'm from ground control, which is my first gym / city kickboxing.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
it's still
yeah.
transitioning.
Integrating.
Yeah, and then once I told my coach, I sat down, went out to lunch, and I was like, "Oh, bro," I'm like getting emotional, but I was like, I'm thinking of moving to city kickboxing for like all these other reasons. Like, oh, it's real close and da da da. He's like,
Yeah, nothing to do
Yeah.
with your actual
yeah,
reasoning.
and he's like, bro, like, fuck, I'm happy you're doing this. He's like, I've been wanting you to fucking. What he said is, I've been wanting you to fuck off for ages because you've reached the level of my knowledge that I can give you, and there's no one, like, you're a big fish in the little pond at our gym. And I was like, oh, so we're both like super relieved. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, now I can fucking stop training. Oh, now I can stop coaching and focus on other stuff. So, oh, mean, all good.
Yeah, I mean.
So that was like 21. Then I'm fighting at city kickboxing, getting more wins. Then one of my coaches, Doug Viney, asked me if I wanted to fight in China. So at this point, I'd only been fighting in Aussie and New Zealand. And I was like, yeah, but I want to go to the motherland of martial arts. He's like, yeah, okay, we'll go to China. So went over with Izzy and Makaiti Povey, was that?
Yeah,
Yeah, you know
Shotgun.
the boat, yeah.
I went
So-
to school
Shout out,
with him.
shout out.
Yeah. So I went over with him and another bro. His last name's Fotheringham, but I can't remember his first name.
Ants.
Ants
Yeah.
Fotheringham. So it was us 4. We went over. They had kickboxing fights, and Izzy and I had MMA fights. But yeah, we did really well. Then that started the new wave of city kickboxing guys going over to China to fight.
Mm.
And we did that for a couple years. Like there was quite a few of us. Kai had heaps of fights in China. I had heaps
What was
of
it like in
fights there.
China? Whole different culture, like around fight, like training and fighting, or did they just train next
Yeah.
level?
Oh, well, so there was a funny thing. We used to go, so I found this out later, and these guys are still training, but we were fighting orphans, bro. There's this place called like...
You're just
Inbo
attracted
Fight
to the
Club.
energy.
Yeah, that orphan energy, bro. So we were ended up like, there was this thing called Enbo Fight Club, and that guy was almost like a James Dilworth, but instead of schooling, these kids just had to train martial arts all day, every day, and they
True.
all come from like villages. And this guy, his name was Enbo, he'd pay for them. They'd still do a little bit of school and stuff, but they'd just train all the time. And they had a few different, they had one gym. And we went to that gym one time, and I was like, fuck, this is like hoary as in the middle of like nowhere, really. Like their poverty is like different to our poverty. You know,
Yeah.
we still got infrastructure and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
These dudes have like one working like
Light.
shower thing. Yeah, one working like still like candles, and you got to make sure you don't like use it too much. But they're like, yeah, I found this out later that we were actually fighting all these orphans. But so that was like the deal was we would go over and fight their guys. But it was like actually like a funny note. Like Izzy and Bloods told me this, but when they were living there for 10 months, what they were doing was it was not the orphans, but it's a similar thing where all of these guys would train together and they'd have foreigners. So it'd be like city kickboxing, but we'd move around New Zealand and we'd train at different gyms. And then we'd create fight nights, almost like the WWE.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
we're
yeah.
all training together, but they also fight together, like
Yeah,
every
yeah,
couple
yeah.
of weeks. That's how Izzy racked up like 30 fights in like 10 months or something. So he was fighting all these guys that he trained with, and Blood's the same. But back to us, like as a team, City Kickboxing. So this would have been about 2013. Started going over to China, fighting there, and it was like different, bro. Like the culture's real weird. Izzy schooled me up heaps because every time I fought in China, he would fight as well. So he'd always be like, "Oh, bro, they're like posturing." There was like heaps in China.
What does that mean?
Posturing, like looking, trying to always look staunch.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
to make them think that they're someone. He's like, but none of these cunts are anyone, bro. Like they're all pussies. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they do weird stuff. But he'd always like tell me because he's like, he'd been living there for 10 months. He'd come back to New Zealand. And it was weird. It was like you could see there was like quite a bit of exploitation going on, like even with the orphans, like they were sort of getting exploited. But the like Enbo, who's their coach, like is just part of their game. He had to work with these businessmen, but then
Yeah,
they'd,
yeah,
like
yeah.
sort of like everything was a bit dodgy. We'd stay in these 5-star hotels, but they were like they were like hostels in the city type thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they'd make it sort of look like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like this fake grandeur. Like it was like fake, like it would be like everything was like gold, but it was like gold plastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like-
Yo.
And like just weird food. Like, I mean, they might like it, but they do this weird thing where they'd make you want to, they'd force you to sort of like eat weird shit. And it's out of respect, you have to
They
eat
do
it.
eat random shit their way. Like even when we
Yeah.
go to those like big Chinese places,
Yeah.
and you
their
see other people
dishes.
ordering like fucking horse head and shit. Not horse head, but you know they order weird ass like things that look like jelly.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like fake food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
You have to
even
eat all
like
that
chicken
shit.
feet. Yeah, like chicken
Yeah.
feet. I think the weirdest thing I ate was a turtle in its shell.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like
How'd
not
you get
alive.
it? Straw.
Nah, it looked like it's like pulled pork.
Oh, that actually sounds all
Soft
good.
shell turtle.
Pulled turtle.
That's all good. I'll try that. I think if it looked like
Yeah,
pork.
I was pissed off this rice wine, bro. Like fuck, one of the sponsors. They're like, "Oh, this is our sponsor. You must drink." And it's fucking tasted like methanol. And we were just drinking. I was like, I couldn't taste anything anyway. My whole mouth was numb. So I was like, I'll eat this turtle, bro. I don't give a shit. But yeah, it did fought in China for a couple times, and then there was a thing where so our whakaapa as a fight gym for city kickboxing starts at this guy called Sifu Philip Lam, who came here in like the 70s and brought kickboxing. Well, it was like kung fu, but it was kickboxing. He brought it down here to New Zealand. Then it goes from Sifu Philip Lam to Lolo Heimuli, who's still a coach at Balmoral Liga. Like he coached Mark Hunt and Jason Suddy, all
Yeah,
of those
hard.
guys, and then he
I always
coached
hear that name at fights.
Lolo.
Nah, it's his Sunday
Yeah.
here because his son's
Oh,
an
yeah,
amateur
that's
boxer,
right.
Yeah.
and the whole team turns up. Go Lola!
Yeah, that's so loud. Everyone's just going, go, Lola.
He's a weapon, eh?
Yeah, hard.
Yeah.
Fella. I mean, a lot of pressure to be the son of the great.
Yeah.
Lolo.
Yeah.
He'd be named after him, bro, but he takes it pretty well, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, then it goes from Lolo to Doug and Eugene, and then to us. But the reason I brought that up was because Sifu started doing shows where he'd bring over Chinese guys,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'd go over there. So that became like a thing, like a back and forth exchange of fighters.
Yeah.
And then I had my last one would have been, before I got into the UFC, would have been one of those shows, choke this guy out. Then
What's
that-
your record like around that time, you reckon? Like, how much fights have you had by the time you were like 21, 22?
would have been like 40-ish or just under 40.
Fuck.
But only in MMA there would have been like 20 MMA, like 10 amateur or like 8 amateur, and then probably 12 MMA at that time. Oh, no, it couldn't have been 12, like 10, 8, 9, 10, and then like 10 kickboxing fights and like 6 boxing fights. These numbers were, hey, someone's going to go back. Bro, you've had fucking 14 fights. What do you mean you've got a record of 40? Like,
I was just trying to add it up. I was like, that equals 3,007.
we're going off rounds now, bro. It's all about minutes. So how many minutes? Bro, hours. 10,000 hours. So, yeah, and by the time I got to just before the UFC, I can't even remember, bro. I actually looked up my record recently and I was like, man, my record's shocking. I thought I had a mean record, but my record's now is like 13 and 8. I'm like, fuck, that sounds horrible.
Is that your pro record, eh?
That's my pro record.
What's your amateur record?
Undefeated, so like 8-0. Well, there's a few fights on there that aren't on there.
Yeah, that's like mine as well. My box rec's
Yeah,
fucked up.
all of them are.
My
like,
box rec has like a kid that's 12 years old and it says I've lost to him. I was like, what the fuck? And people were like, gee, I checked up your box rec. Like, and I was like, bro, I've never fought a 12-year-old kid. Like, I'll honestly snap his back.
Everyone's is like that, though.
Yeah, it's all messed
like,
up, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Especially the boxing ones that I've looked at.
Are you guys on box rec as well? Like, how does someone search up your record? Or do you have like your own Wikipedia or something?
Yeah, I got a Wikipedia.
Oh, that's
yeah.
how you know.
There's a thing called
You got a wiki?
Sherdog.
That's how you know you made it, eh? When you got a Wikipedia on yourself.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know. Once I got that blue tick, actually, then I was like, that's it, certified.
Yeah. Do you got the one that like the organic one that they just give you?
Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
that since 2018.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
got it from the UFC guy. I just reached out, and then I had a Facebook one, and then I got scammed and lost it.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I thought I could run Facebook ads on my thing, and then I was like, man, this sounds too good to be true. And then I was like, oh wait, and then boom, it's gone. So there's some guy out there. Oh, I think they would have changed it, but they got the blue tick.
Oh, yeah.
But then got on the UFC. How I got on the UFC, actually, I'd actually not been at the gym for 6 months because I was going through heaps of personal stuff, relationship stuff, like heaps of big life changes. And then I moved into this house. It was like just up the road from the gym. People were like sort of looking out for me. But I was like, I'm going to like take some time to take care of myself mentally, and then I'll get back into fighting. Then I get a call from my coach. No one's ever heard this, but it's all good. He knows I'm a bit of a degenerate. But he was like, he called me, and I was smoking a spliff, so like cigarettes and weed. I'd started getting into cigarettes for some reason. I was just like, a little bit of self-loathing, never hurt anybody. So I was like smoking on a spliff, and he's like, and he like calls. I was like, what's up? And he's like, do you want to fight in the UFC next weekend? I was like, yep. And he's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna try to do this deal, but it's like gonna be with Alex Volkanovski. And I was like, okay. I'm like, fuck. Like, that's a hectic name. Like, even in like everyone knows
Did you know
he's
of him
now.
back then?
Yeah, bro, everyone
Of
knew about him. Like,
course.
he was mad. Like, he'd lost his first fight, and again, he was fighting up at like light heavyweight or something ridiculous. Fought this welterweight guy who was a beast back then, even for welterweight, and he was like a featherweight. Like, he was, shorter than me. That was his only loss, and then he'd won like 11 times in a row, won 3 or 4 times in the UFC, like all finishes except like a couple decisions. And I was like, always thinking that we actually were scheduled to fight a little while before that. So I'd trained for him, but then because he got in the UFC, it became like, he's always been the boys because they've all been to Thailand, like Izzy and Huge and stuff. They trained in Thailand with him. Brad's one of his best mates, Brad Riddell. So he was like one of the boys anyway, and he'd come to the gym. He'd come in the last 2 weeks of his camp before like his UFC fight. So I'd like rolled with him a little bit. So we were like, and he was a cool dude. He's fucking real nice guy. So I was like, all good. Like we're basically never gonna fight, I guess, because I was only 23. I was only 23, and he was like a little bit older, and he's in the UFC. I was like, bro, I'm like 4 or 5 years away from the UFC. Little did I know, and I was like a year away from getting in. But yeah, he's called me, and I was like, do you want to fight in the UFC next week? He's like, yeah, but they're trying to fuck us on the deal. Like they're trying to get you on a 1-fight contract or a 2-fight contract. So basically, they want you to come in, get knocked the fuck out, and then fuck off. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound ideal, coach. He's like, yeah, I know, but if I'm just seeing if you're keen, because I'm going to keep working this deal, but I'm just letting you know that if we walk away, that's why. I was like, hey, fair enough. And then he called me later that afternoon. He's like, nah, we got a better deal for you, bro. It's going to be 4-fight, da-da-da-da. So all we need to do is not get knocked out. I was like, fuck, I can do that. Never been knocked out before. Like, we can make that happen. So then I took the fight on 8 days' notice, flew over, and my first coach, Neil Swales, was able to come, and I had one spare corner, so went over with him, and he like did my fight week, and that was mean to be able to take him, because his dream was always to be in the UFC, you know. So for him to be there, my debut,
and be in the corner,
and in my corner, he was like emotional. So many. He's not a very emotional guy, but he was emotional so many times on that fight week. I could tell.
That's so cool.
So it was pretty sick for
That's mean, bro.
Yeah, and then the rest is all on my Wikipedia, so you can check it out.
Man, tell us about it. Who'd you fight? What was the feeling like? Everything like
that was hectic, bro.
Where was it?
That was at the Sydney. I don't know what arena it was, but there was 22,000 people. So I went from fighting at Sifu's show at the Kohimarama Stadium where they used to do King of the Ring. So it'd be like 800 people fighting for like a couple grand. Oh, yeah, probably not even that. There to 6 months later, walking out 20,000 people in Sydney.
That's crazy.
Like, had Dan in my corner, Huge in my corner, and my first coach, Neil Swales. Bro, it was hectic. And because I was, I was so much of an underdog, and all I was told I didn't need to get knocked down. I was like, bro, I got the maddest chin. Look at this thing. Like, it's not gonna. So I was like, I felt like I'd already won.
Yeah.
So I just went out there happy, bro. If you look back and see the walkout, I walked out to Dedicated To by Homebrew.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that song. Yeah, and then I was just
Could you hear the
smiling.
music?
Yeah, bro.
Was it like pumping? Because
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
want to know what their feelings like walking out in the UFC to like one of your favorite songs, and everybody's just
especially
like
to a New Zealand song. Like,
yeah.
And that was like an anthem as well. Like
Hard. It was it still makes me like smile thinking back to it too, and even like feeling, the hot lights, bro. They're hot in the UFC. Like it feels like I've fought in some actually like real hot lights. I remember the ICNZ. All the people used to talk about like, fuck, these lights are really hot, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to figure that out. But it's I guess the feeling, you can feel things more intensely. Like it was the first time fighting in an arena, and I felt like I could feel people's energy like being blasted down towards me. And that was making the heat. But I was just so happy. Like I was looking a bit into like mindset and mindfulness. So I was talking about like power stance and just going like standing with your feet wide and your hands up in the air.
Absorbing it.
Yeah.
And I did that. Like I did it when they were calling out my name, and I'm just like smiling, and I was like, felt like I was standing right in front of the sun.
Whoa,
and people weren't
cool.
booing me because I'd have heaps of fans in Aussie.
Yeah.
So no, people weren't like, boo. I think they walked out and they were booing me, but then I was just like happy. So they're like, oh, I can't really hate on the bro.
Yeah.
Then they announced him though, and it was just like, raw. And I just kept my eyes closed, and I was like, yeah, they're doing it for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then came out like, had a pretty good showing.
Who was it? Who'd you fight?
Oh, Alex Volkanovski.
Oh,
that was the
yeah,
first ever fight. Yeah,
That's crazy that was your first fight.
Hard.
Bro, and it's crazy, like, I didn't win, but, bro, that was the most, probably unfit. Well, I was still fit, I'm an athlete, but because I'd not done really any training for 6 months, I was going like a spiral.
And you
like
took
down.
8 days?
8 days notice,
Shit.
yeah.
Debut.
And bro,
UFC.
well, so I'm pretty sure I've talked about this. So I was like lived it quite like a healthy like life holistically, like eat well and stuff. But from 24, I started dabbling in things like vices in Auckland City. So I used to walk around at like 75 normally. And then when I got that call up, I was like 70, 69. I like barely had to cut weight. And that was just from the lifestyle that I was like living at the time, if you know what I mean. I was just like, and I was just eating like McDonald's. Like I'd eat like one cheeseburger a day or something for like 6 months. And it just like, so I was like real unhealthy. I remember in the fight, like every time I breathed, it was like fire. And I was like, fuck, that's those durries, bro.
Bro, I know that feeling. Fuck.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is like the craziness of it was like Eugene's how smart he is. Like he showed me two things that he'd seen. Like, Alex goes to the well too much with these two things. And it was like it was a certain elbow that I would throw when he'd come in, because he'd throw like a punch, let that fall, and then come in for the second one. So he's like, let that one fall short, and then like step in on the second one. And I landed an elbow early in the first round, but I didn't even feel it. I was like, on the end, and then I landed a right hand. This is only from talking to Alex afterwards, and he was like, bro, you basically rocked me in the first round with the right hand, and that's why I started like grappling with you. Because if you watch the fight back, like we're standing up every round starts standing, but I was trying to control the center like I normally do, but I was so tired, like pretty fast. I was pretty tired that like he just get me against the cage.
Yeah.
And I'd be trying to fight like standing up, but if stand up, it's like everything happens like this. You need to have quick reactions, and if you're tired, like fatigued, then you can't really react. So I was
you're
like
just thinking about being tired, eh?
Yeah. And so I was like, bro, fuck, I don't think I can stand up, like do heaps of stand up. Like I want to grapple, because then you can slow things down. And like I guess my muscle endurance was better than my cardio.
Yeah.
So it kind of what I'm saying is he saved me. So I did the elbow and that right hand that you just showed me the night before we fought. And then that made him not want to stand with me. He was thinking like, fuck, I don't want to get knocked out by this guy on his debut. But I was like, oh my God, please grab me. I was like, please grab me. They were like, I remember in the what was it, the commentary afterwards, they were like, he doesn't want to be here, but he's like a Lego brick, Alex Volkanovski. He's like a Lego brick, he just sticks to you. And I was like, I'm happy, bro. Just like squeeze me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to keep swinging your hands, because he hits super hard.
True.
It's super hard. So we were just mainly grappling, but then there was another exchange. So I was the first person to take Volk down in the UFC, I think probably ever actually in his career. But it was off one other technique that you told me, and he was like, when he gets the 2-1-1 on your wrist, he's going to throw the spinning elbow.
What's the 2-1-1 on your wrist?
So it's like when he's got both his hands like this.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got both
Like
his hands
holding your
on
wrist
his
down.
wrist here, and so he's holding my wrist down.
Oh, yeah.
And then he'd let go, and then he'd spin and throw an elbow, like he'd be pressed against the cage. His head's low, and then he'd put both his hands on one, and then spin and throw the elbow. And he's like, watch for the elbow. Then as soon as he let go of my wrist, I just shot down and took him down.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And bro, they like expended all my energy, but they were like, oh, he took him down for the first time. And I was just like, now what? And then he basically picked me up. And this is what they said in the commentary, because he picked me up, and it was like he put me on my shoulders, and who's that? John Cena, do that spin and throw. Basically like did that, but like threw me down. And then the commentary team was like, oh, he threw him down like a wet hoodie, at the end of a workout, and you're like, yuck. And I was just like, boosh, and I was like, oh.
So funny.
It was like a buzzy fight. Like,
Can you hear the commentary from the cage?
Not in that one. The crowd was hectic.
Oh,
Yeah,
was
'cause
that
he
main event?
No, it was the first fight on the pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first fight on the pay-per-view. But
Who
he
was
was
the main event on that card?
Bro, I don't even know. Who was the main event? It was
That would have
Sydney.
been like Mark Hunt, wouldn't it?
I think it was Rob. I think it might have been
Whittaker.
Rob pre-championship.
Oh, yeah.
Sydney 2019.
Fuck, that's
Oh,
mean.
2017, November 2017, Sydney.
Oh, yeah, that is. I'm thinking way back.
Yeah, that's mean. And well, like, how's it like getting coached by like Huge? Like, can you tell Eugene? Can you tell he's like different from all your other coaches?
Oh, I
Is he
feel
like a
like him and,
mastermind? Or-
yeah, him. He's a really thoughtful. Like the way he's like I guess he's more like a numbers guy, going off percentages of like effective techniques, focusing on the effective techniques, and the way that city kickboxing has come as well is like a testament to the kind of person that he is, because fighting is so full of politics, especially like because even the fighters, we get like sort of a god complex with our coaches, or I don't know if that's the right word, god complex, but with our coaches that, and I guess they feed off that, some coaches like they don't even mean to, it's just you can't help it if people are saying like you're the greatest,
Yeah.
eventually it's gonna get in your head that you are.
Yeah.
But like we all came from other gyms. I came from Ground Control, Dan Kai came from Strike Force, John Vaki and heaps of boys came from Oliver's, some other guys came from East Auckland. So the only original city kickball, Carlos came from Lolo's gym. Kevin obviously came from, these are like some of the top UFC guys. He came from France.
Yeah.
So the only guys that were at city kickboxing, like from the get go, were Bloods and Izzy. So everyone else, all the guys that I don't know, people see on social media, like Dan Kai, myself, and like everyone, we all came from other gyms. But it started because Dan was the only one in the UFC. And this is like a testament to Eugene's humility. So he owned his own gym. Like it was a pretty successful gym, especially in kickboxing. Like Strikeforce was very successful overseas and nationally for MMA. But Euge he was always like focusing on like everything, not just kickboxing. And so he would go to Strikeforce and help Dan. Like every day we'd do 10 a.m. Monday to Friday at Strikeforce, and then he invited me, or like Dan invited me, a few other guys, so we'd like sort of cross train all at Dan's gym. But we were all happy to, because we were like, fuck that, you know, Dan is the trailblazer of New Zealand this generation anyway. Like he got into UFC way before
Dan
anyone
Hooker,
else.
eh?
Yeah, Daniel Hooker. Yeah, Daniel Hooker.
It seems like he's really like helped you guys and like trying to get New Zealand recognized, like New Zealand MMA. Like he's like, you know, doesn't leave his team behind type thing.
Nah, I mean, even back then, like a lot of guys wouldn't do that for XYZ. Like don't want to think people like you think you're better than us. Or
Yeah,
anything like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But he kept at it.
Yeah.
You know, he's Buzzy Cat, bro. Like he's a real staunch dude, but he's real like, not loving is not the right word, but he's very caring. He just shows it in fucked up ways.
Yeah.
He just shows it in fucking weird ways, but he is real caring. Like I saw a thing recently, he's saying like, what I want to do is leave a legacy of showing that I tried to get our country to the heights.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, that's actually what he's always done. Like he's always done that.
Yeah, that's me.
I know. I can remember how relentless he was trying to get Izzy like recognized. Like before Izzy was in the UFC. I just remember seeing the posts everywhere, like everyone tagging Dana White. Like it was relentless everywhere on social media.
He was pretty ahead of the social media thing. He was on Twitter. That's how he got into that UFC Auckland. It was like Hangman for UFC.
Oh, true.
It was like a Twitter, and I was like, what the fuck's Twitter?
Yeah.
I'd only just been on Instagram. I was like, there's no photos on this thing. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, harder.
But yeah, he got ahead of that. That was when Mark Hunt for, I think, Derek Lewis or someone. But yeah. Oh, I was talking about Eugene. Yeah, sorry. So we were doing that, and then so we were all at Strikeforce Monday to Friday, and we were all at different gyms, but it was okay because we were all training with Dan to help Dan. So it was like not like all the other coaches from the other gyms were like, yeah, that's fine. Like he's the lead horse. Like if you're gonna help him, it's only gonna help you guys. But they'd be like, oh, you know, just be, you know, you might fight these guys eventually, because we're all at the top of the heap on the New Zealand scene.
Yeah.
Then Dan went away to Saigon, to Vietnam. So Huge was like, oh, do you want to do it at my gym, like at City Kickboxing? So we were all like, yeah. And bro, that's the humble guy. Like when we would train, it was just like he was one of the boys. So no one was like the head coach. He'd like let everyone, we'd all take turns, like sort of what we're going to focus on. And then he'd like give us a bit of a structure eventually. But he never was like, let's do this. He's like, oh, do you guys want to, he'd sort of like let things play out naturally, but then be like sort of suggest stuff. And then we'd like, oh, yep. But even then, there were other times where I look back, I won't like mention names, but boys are like, no, like, you know, like, because we're just mates. It'd be like, if someone said to me, like, oh, do you want to do this? I was like, nah, bro, that's dumb. We're going to do this. And this is what they said to Eugene. Like, and then looking back now, they're like, oh shit, I can't believe us. It was like talking like that. But he just let it, you know, just like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
Till eventually we all figured it out ourselves. They were like, bro, this guy has the maddest techniques, like of everything, kickboxing, grappling, wrestling. We were like, and then it just became, we were like, oh, this is our coach. Like, he's one of the boys, but really this is like our head coach. And that just happened naturally, you know. He didn't force it at all. And then we started like, well, boys were like, I actually want to stay here. I don't want to like just work out here once a day. And then it became the team that it is, and now we got guys flying over from around the world to come and train with us.
Yeah, that's sick.
Then you got like old ladies
is
training
Eugene
right
still the
next to the UFC. What's that?
Eugene's still the same from day dot?
Yeah, hard. Like just I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Understand how he is, but I think he's super grounded. Like just I don't know. I can't even try and pretend to understand that dude, but I know he's like the most reliable person I know, one of the most humble people I know, and one of the most like thoughtful people. And he's got this, I've been to his house like heaps of times, but he's got this massive bookshelf of books, bro. He loves reading. Like he's always reading. Whenever we go overseas, he'd be reading like books on like old like all the black champions of boxing. Like he's a big boxing fanatic. So yeah, and we got this like chat with like all the professional fighters and stuff, and then he put stuff in there like randomly at like 1:30 a.m. will be like a certain technique. Then he'll show like all these other videos and different applications, and then like little screen grabs from like other fights and stuff. I'm like, bro, this dude just froths.
Yeah,
fighting.
That's me. That's why everybody thrives, because the coach is leading by example.
Yeah.
That's why. Fuck, that's mean.
He's still got to have 2 more fights. I think he's 48 fights, and he wants to make it to 50. So
hey,
yeah, he still reckons he's going to have another fight. MMA fights.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's on. You've got to make it happen for him, bro.
Yeah. He got pretty close when we were in lockdown, when we all lived in the gym for that 2 weeks. He was doing pads and stuff, and we were like, oh, they're coming back.
Bro, what happened with that lockdown? How like the media and that started fucking reviews.
I don't know, in this country, they're still like a little bit backwards in terms of like people. Even like they were talking about the Relentless TV show, and they're like, oh, I saw some person like commenting, oh, it's just barbaric.
What is that?
I just feel like they would never have done that to the All Blacks.
Yeah,
nah. Or
you
the
know,
cricket team.
Yeah, it's just combat sports. They just like
I can understand their way of thinking, but I personally cannot. You can't like if I. It's a few hours of Googling stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it'll change their minds. I'll hear Dan talk, they'll hear me talk, they'll hear Kai talk. They'll be like, these guys aren't idiots.
Yeah, I know.
We missed such a fucking huge opportunity of like bringing more fights here, of bringing more attention here. Like everyone
because
was
of the New
just
Zealand media. Like we haven't had any UFCs yet.
Yeah,
because they fucked it up.
Fuck all coverage.
Yeah, besides that, like.
We've only
since Izzy's been on the top, like he's obviously the
But he said he won't fight here, anymore.
Nah, but like they fucked it up themselves. Like the government fucked it up. They like he could have like brought so much revenue, everything here.
People, if they did it in like, was it like the cake tin that's covered?
Yeah.
And it'd be like what 60,000 people.
Yeah.
So many people from Aussie would fly over.
Hard out. That's the same size of that. It was the biggest UFC in Melbourne. That Ronda Rousey,
55,000. Yeah.
Holly Holm. That was. I went to that. It was fucking wild.
Oh, the Ronda. I thought you were talking about when Izzy fought.
No, that first it was the biggest crowd that they've ever had. I think it was Etihad Stadium. Or was it at MCG? No, it was Etihad.
Yeah, it was Etihad.
That was the first time they'd had 60,000 in attendance.
And that was Aussie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was wild.
And look what we missed out on because of
that could have been us.
They don't understand. They just need to talk like everybody in the suits and that. They just need to talk to anybody that's in combat sports. Like it changes people's lives. Like it changes. Like they got to notice that if you get into like if you're a fighter or like you're like into getting into trouble. Once you get into fighting, you don't even think about doing the other shit anymore. Once you got like a flow on.
Yeah, but they want like young New Zealand athletes to become rugby players. Like they always want to keep that New Zealand rugby thing going. Whereas like so many kids would open up to the fight game if that was more accessible and like,
Yeah.
you know, had more coverage on holy shit, like New Zealand fighters actually dominate, you know?
Yeah, hard out. Like yeah, that's because like what are you doing down in Napier now with your? Tell us a bit about that.
Oh yeah. So um, well, it actually goes all the way back to Cyclone Gabriel last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we did a donation drive because I had one cousin. All my family live in Napier, bar one cousin. She was living up here and she worked for Oranga Tamariki, which is like SIFs. And there was the Cyclone Gabriel stuff happened. Then we did a big donation drive. Had like 1,000 carloads worth of donations, and it was just me, her, and two other of our
Yeah, I
cousins. It was
remember
just
that.
Yeah.
3 girls and 1 dude. And I was like, oh, I got to do all the lifting, like, and then just like get people coming in and stuff. And then she realized that she was really good at organizing stuff, so she moved back home, started a non-profit charity. She still works like at a school and stuff, but she started a charity. Then after my last fight in September, there's a guy down there who started a gym called Shamrocks Boxing Gym, and he started that because his son committed suicide like half a year before that. He was only 20 years old, like this real good looking, could sing, like could fight, just this cool Māori kid, but he committed suicide, and he created Shamrocks, named it after his son Shamrock. Started this boxing gym. He's actually like, bro, I didn't realize how big of a history. He's traveled the world when he was like 11 for boxing.
Oh,
and
Drew,
stuff.
what's his name?
His name's Tucker Burton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so he started this gym, and my cousin told me about it, so I went down there, just like, because it's right in my neighborhood in Marae Nui. Like, it buzzes me out because I think of what he's creating as exactly what I've always wanted to do, is to create a fight gym in my hood, because there's like some kids, they don't even go to the city, which is like a 15, 25-minute walk, because they're just so ingrained in this environment.
Yeah.
And they go there and they feel like lesser than, I guess, because Napier is like real, like undercover and not so undercover racist.
Yeah.
Like there's like 2 sides to Napier. Beautiful place, but like, yeah, there's like the wineries.
How big's Napier, do you reckon? Like how much people do you reckon living there?
Probably
50,000?
only like, maybe like 100,000, 150,000.
Oh yeah.
It's quite like, it is.
It's a
big.
nice city, eh?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like always sunny. Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Like that. Yeah, I've no. It sucks. Don't move there. Don't. It's a horrible place, actually. Like terrible. House prices suck. It's like, go to Tauranga instead. yeah. Nah, just I wouldn't move there. It's a horrible place. Don't move there. Full of gangs and just drugs and just horrible people, racism. Don't do it. Yeah, but so Shamrocks now, like with my cousin heading that charity, and so we started a charity. Well, she started the charity, and I'm on the board of the charity. Like, and we just partner with different things like Shamrocks. But the long term goal is to create the first transitional housing for like at risk youth in Hawke's Bay. Because there's a big gap between like 11 and 14-year-olds that basically can't go to school anymore because they've done too much naughty stuff, and then they could still go to school, but they could also start working, and it's just about trying to create a pathway for them so they don't just get like sucked up by the streets.
Yeah.
But yeah, martial arts is the best, bro. For that.
Yeah,
The boxing is
exactly,
it gives
bro.
these kids like a purpose and makes them, like, for me, I know from my own personal experience, like I went from being like the kid getting bullied and picked on to actually being like, just through hard training and discipline and through that changing my mindset, because that was the biggest thing, is changing my mindset, but that was like the last thing to change, but you changed it through just turning up.
Repetition.
Repetition. And then eventually, even if you thought you were like a pussy, the fact that you're fighting all these people will like eventually change. Like I was saying before, like I used to fight from fear. It wasn't until I was like 16, 17 where I was actually like, oh, I'm not a pussy. And all my mates at school would not, like, they'd never back that up because they thought, oh, this guy thinks he's cool because he's a fighter. And it used to, like, I remember getting into it with one of my mates, and he'd be like, you think you're that? And I'd be crying to him, like, bro, you don't don't you remember when I used to like be all like scared and stuff? And now because I'm walking with my head held high, you think I'm a fucking, I think I know it all. They're like, you're all that. And I was just like, so I was still a pussy in my mind. I was like looking for this validation outside of myself. Then after just a few years, I was just like, oh fuck, I never was a pussy. I'm not a pussy. But it was just through like training and that repetition that even eventually it got into my mind. But I see it with these kids, like some of them, they click straight away, like especially Māori kids, like they're quite like, if they're in the right environment and they're being nurtured, or even if they're in the wrong environment, their kids are like quite confident, and it's just going to be awesome to see that like confidence get put into something that can help them realize their true potential and see a world outside of just their neighborhood. And martial arts is like, it's a story, the age-old story of like taking kids from like rough neighborhoods, then they become world champions, and that's the goal down there.
Is that the goal? So what, are they going to get into like amateur boxing or corporate? Or
Amateur boxing.
Oh, yeah,
it's still fresh. I think they've just having their 1 year anniversary soon.
Oh, man.
It's that is a goal, but also the goal is just to get these kids to fight their way out of like it's that rough patch from like 13 to 18, 19, where if you're just like fucking around, got nothing to do, you're just going to get patched up, or you're going to fucking start dealing drugs, or you're going to get someone pregnant, or you're going to just get locked up. Like it's going to be one of those four things. There's nothing else to do. You're not going to go to uni, even if you go to school. Like that stuff's like, it's like frowned upon. Like, you know, it's like, it's not cool. And the most, we're like creatures, we're social creatures by like, it's so primitive to want to be part of like society. So like you just rather let go of any ambition that you have in schooling and just be like, oh, I'm just going to be a hustler. Like, it fits in with everything. So.
Hard.
It's just their conditioning as well, their environment.
Yeah.
How many kids do you reckon is going now? Is it growing or is it just the same?
It's huge now. No, when I first went there was 30 kids. That was in September, and then I went back there in February, and there's 80 kids now.
Far.
Yeah, and then there's like 40 adults now. They're doing kickboxing as well, and I praise the adults because a lot of them are like, they're doing it to get rid of other habits.
Yeah.
And then they're, instead of like being too staunch and be like, I don't need any help. Like,
trying to lead by example.
Yeah. So it's already changing like that environment, and it's a small place, but it's like probably 2,000 people, and it like that 120 individuals it's gonna make a bigger impact, like in the world. Like also, I was saying a bit earlier, it's like it actually kind of trips me out because I used to say this when I first started getting more recognized in the UFC, and that it was a platform and trying to represent Māori. I was like, first thing is like I changed myself, like for the positive, then my immediate family, like what my cousin's doing, and some of my other cousins, like changed my immediate family, then change my community, but it all stems from myself, and now like the community is doing that too. If these 120 athletes can go out, then next minute Napier's changing, then eventually New Zealand will start changing, like more positive, like cut out the tall poppy syndrome, like all that stuff.
We're the worst for that, eh?
Yeah.
What are some of the changes that you made, like when it comes to mindset and just like self-growth type stuff, or like spirituality?
Yeah, it was actually probably more spirituality than anything. A big breakthrough for me, well, like a turning point, was when I learnt Wim Hof. The Wim Hof breathing and like philosophy. That was with Jason Suddy from Elite Thai Kickboxing.
Yeah.
And it had to be him in a way, because he's like, 6-time world champion, worked all the way up to heavyweight, went from like welterweight all the way up to heavyweight. So from 77 kilos up to like 95 kilos, won world titles and all of those, like the toughest dude. They called him Psycho for a reason. I remember shaking his hand at one of the old King in the Rings, and I was like, fuck, I could feel his energy. I was like, this is a bad man. I was like, this guy's a scary dude. And I was like, shake his hands, like, oh yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Then like 2-3 years later, he'd traveled the world doing Wim Hof. I see him again in another fight show, and he's like, "Hey, Shane, brother!" Like giving me a hug, and I was like, "Oh fuck! Oh no, I'm about to get the kiss of death." So I'm about to get hit outside or something. Then I was like, "Nah, it's not." I could feel his whole energy was shifted. Like it was like scary, but like in a bad scary way, not in like when you shake Dan or like meet Dan or Izzy. I guess people were like, "Oh fuck, this guy's got like a presence."
Yeah.
But it was like it's still good people, but he like had this kind of like menacing presence about him, and I was like, oh, it kind of fucking scares me, Jason. But now to like, I mean, even before he put out a thing recently about the disability car parking, I don't know if you saw it on the Herald, but anyway, it's just like his energy, you can tell he's not a scary guy.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, well, like, after a few meetings, I felt like I could actually talk to him about this. So he's like, oh, what you're doing so good, bro. And I was like, what have you done like recently? He's like, oh, I've discovered this thing called Wim Hof, or a guy called Wim Hof. And it's a like, but I don't
Breathwork technique.
Breathwork,
We
like
actually had some guests on, not the last one, but the one before. Some friends, they do like meditation and breath work, and they like started off with Wim Hof, and they explained like the CO2 and how you get it into your cells, like the breathing gets it into your cells better or pushes it into your cells, the oxygen.
yeah, I watched a bit of that.
Yeah.
I didn't see the science part of it. I think I saw.
I think it's when you're breathing, and then when you hold your breath, you're restricting your body from oxygen, which allows you to have enough time to turn it into CO2. And then the CO2 has the beneficial parts that get released into your body, which is like anti-inflammatory.
Like pushes it into your cells.
Yeah.
So we know a little bit about it.
Yeah, but not, go back and watch the episode.
Yeah. Oh, but that was a buzzy. So there's the physical benefits like healing and stuff, but like this is when I was like, I was going through some shit when I first got into UFC. Then after 2018, like I won like $100,000 in one night, won a bonus, got all this like fame thrown at me, heaps of fucking vices and shit, and then I like not really. But I spent it all in like 3 months, bro. Fuck, I spent $100,000 in 3
What
months.
did you spend it on?
Fucking
Come on.
H&B. But
Just say it, bro. You can say what you
I was hookers and blow, bro, basically. Yeah. Well, not hookers, like, I mean, pay them enough. Like,
that would have been around the time when I met you, eh?
That was last week.
Wait, what?
Yeah, nah.
No, you know when I met him the first time, I just rocked to this place. I was probably like day 3. I just rocked. I didn't even know what day it was as well. Fucking, I just seen you there and you were wasted. I was wasted as well. I just went and sat next to him, and we just started yarning hard out. And then we just started getting deep as.
Oh, true.
Yeah, and then we're like, fuck, yo, what's your number? And then boom. And now look.
Yeah. Now we're fucking.
You got to do it though, eh?
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
Getting all that money and you're a fighter, like, what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Yeah, it wasn't actually hookers and blow. It was like just nice dinners with young women and woman. Fuck, young woman. That sounds weird. Nah, yeah, just heaps of fake friends, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Heaps of, bro. You would have learned a lot though.
Yeah.
$100,000 of lessons.
Yeah. Quick lessons too. Sharp lessons. It's a kick up the ass lessons, really.
Fuck.
So I went to mad depression, but I didn't know it because I've always been a happy dude. Like always, even when I was younger and like shit was pretty fucked up at home. There was like definitely this one period shit was real fucked up. For like 3-6 months, like fuck, it was wild. But I was still like positive even through all of that. But then I just couldn't be positive, and I didn't know why. I was like, fuck, I just feel like crying all the time. I don't want to go to the gym. People like go to say things, I'd feel happy, and then I'd be like, fuck, I'm not allowed to feel happy. And I was like, what the fuck's wrong with me? But then I did Wim Hof with Jason, and we did it. Dan was there, Izzy was there. It was pretty trippy, but fuck, when I did it, like they were all good, but I did it, and then you got this real euphoric feeling after a few rounds of doing it. And I was like, it felt like a spiritual moment. Like it's you and yourself, really.
Yeah.
I was like connected with my higher self, and it was like, you're loved, you're amazing. And I was just like, yay. And then it was like something stepped over me and was like, fuck you, cunt, you don't deserve this. And I was like, oh, like, and then I just said out loud, I was like, oh, I have depression. I was like, that was not me. That was depression. And I just started like having a bit of a cry
Yeah.
in front of like all these fighters like lying on the ground. But I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like,
Yeah.
like you're a tough cunt. They're the toughest cunts. Like, who cares? Like, you're allowed to. This is a good, safe space for you to do it.
Yeah, hard.
The dude who just taught you's a 6-time world champion. Like, you're not a. This is you're the toughest. Like,
hard.
with the toughest dudes. Like,
That's
and
so
then,
cool.
yeah, it was cool. And like, then that's why that was what motivated me in 2019 to speak on like mental health, because I didn't actually know, but we had the highest youth, we still have the highest youth suicide rates. And I was like, fuck, if that, and I'm like, man, I'm a UFC fighter living my dream, and I feel like this. Imagine being this feeling, like if I could go back to when I was like 8 and 9 and I was going through that real fucked up stuff happening. If I felt like this, then fuck, I would have done it. Like I would have just been like, this isn't worth it. Like it's not fair. Like, and that's probably what like kids are feeling. They're like, man, it's not fair. I feel like this, and then I have to go home to this, go to school to this, and I don't feel positive at all. Why would I want to be here?
Yeah.
And yeah, but that was all through the Wim Hof, that one experience, and then we actually did the ice bath after, and bro, it was like warm. I remember jumping in I'd never done an ice bath before in my life. Me and Dan ended up doing it, and we both sat in there and we were like looking at each other. We were like, bro, like didn't want to say it because we thought, you know, if you say it warm, it'll start feeling cold. So we just like didn't say anything, got out, and then we got like walking around, and then we like put our hand and we're like, fuck, is that even cold? And he's like, yeah, you are the first to jump in. It'll be the coldest it's ever been. And Dan's not a real like, well, everyone, especially fighters, we're all very spiritual, but he doesn't like wear any of that on his like chest. But he was afterwards, he's like, this is his only response. He's like, gets in his car and he's like, hey. I was like, yo. He's like, that was pretty buzzy, eh? I was like, oh yeah, so you felt it too.
Yeah.
You felt it too. But
Man.
yeah, that was that was like a big change, and that made me focus on my mindset and focus on creating positive habits. And that like I went from being on like a big high from like 2016, like loving life and always being positive, to 2 years later, like just this realizing like it's not just your mental health, but it's your physical health. Like my habits of like just going out and getting fucked up and come downs. Like fuck, I think that's another big thing that like people don't think about. I think we talked about that, like people saying they have mental health issues, but it's like, bro, you're just lining up racks on the weekend, and then like you do that so many weekends in a row, and then it's like there's this long-term come down. Like that's what I went through. It was like a year come down of stopping that stuff and just being like, man, there's like everything will feel good. And then
I went through like a year of just crying every week.
Yeah.
It'd be like Monday, Tuesday, I'd just cry for 2 days, no reason.
Saying
It was just from the weekend, every weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, fully thought I had depression until I went sober.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I thought I was like, I'm one of those people who got depression, anxiety, and then I just stopped that after a few months. I was like, oh, turns out I was just a drug addict.
Yeah, hard out. It exactly is that as well. Because I used to fucking, and then I'd turn into like, oh shit, I got to do a rec like every day.
Yeah, I remember watching your guys' podcast talking about it like at one of these or one of those. Yeah. you gotta like get them this way, sideways, upside down.
Bro, and then yeah, hard. Once I like stop doing that shit, your fucking mind clears up real quick, eh? Start getting sharp.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's on.
Yeah, and that's through martial arts, really, eh? Like,
Yeah. And then what? Did you start training different after you like? After you learned to like change your mindset? Did you start like treating your fight camps differently, or?
Like, did you add any of the spirituality into your fight camps?
You're doing like breath work throughout it, or?
Oh, I did for the fight when I spoke about mental health in 2019. But to be honest, like I said, I don't even like really bringing it up, but I just try to be honest though. Like, like life has gotten a little bit harder since then, but because of all the actual like, all the feelings of depression, but it was like I was my life was like up here, but my emotional feelings were down here. Now it's like life is a little bit more like been on a downward trend, but I'm trying to stay up there because I know it's gonna like gravitate towards it. But yeah, it's been like I did do that a bit more, but then like talking like real ambiguous, but No, I'm seeing. I mean, just look at my record from when I won that fight in 2019 and spoke about mental health. I've lost every fight since then. Like, I talked to some people about it. Like, I used to go to counseling, and I've come to the realization that I put myself out there a bit too much following that.
Yeah.
Like, I was giving out too much of my spirit to people to
Yeah.
help others. And at the very start, I got real resentful because I was giving it out to the people that were basically just drug addicts. Like, my immediate mates. I was like, I'm like, nah, brother, we got this. And I'm like,
Because you want to
I'm
show
like,
them like it's better, like we can like.
yeah, but it was like wasting on them. Like,
Yeah.
I even had like this thing where I was helping these adults, and then I was just like, nah, fuck adults, man. I was like resentful. I was like, they made their bed. Like, if you're not gonna pull yourself out of it, then fuck you. I'm gonna focus on the kids, and I'm still more focused on the youth just because like it's more rewarding to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I think just putting yourself out there. I don't know what it is, but like when you give so much of your spirit, like it takes away from what I can give to fighting.
Yeah.
So that's why I've like since September, I've not really been fighting has not been my focus right now. It's about building stuff outside fighting so that I can when I get back to it and I focus on the next big thing that's going to happen, then I'll be giving it 100%, not just physically, which is what I've been doing. It's like physically I'm always there. Even mentally, like staying there, but just like spiritually, maybe focused on trying to help too many other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But now
yeah.
with like the charity and what we're doing in Shamrocks, like that can like sort of fill that need that I have to do that, and then I can focus on the fighting. So I'm like compartmentalizing it more. So now rather than trying to do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Was it hard, like, when you like get the first loss, and then when you had that second loss, were you like, fuck?
Yeah, well, the first loss sucked because I got knocked out for the first time ever.
Yeah,
in
but that's not
fighting.
too. You reckon that's like what was your second loss after that? Was
Oh, it was real
The choked
close,
out-
bro.
was
That
it?
was even harder because it was like that was when like Volk was up fighting, and there was all COVID. These fights were through COVID.
Wasn't it that one that we thought you won?
Maybe it was like a dude, and I had a bold axe.
it a Brazilian guy or something?
Yeah, oh, he was Venezuelan.
Was it like
Oh.
in the
in the Apex?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was real close.
Yeah, I remember being like, "What the fuck? He won that."
Nah, but even that, but afterwards, like I know every time I've lost, I know I've lost because I've given up a little bit in the fight.
Yeah.
Like, and then I've got
And you
left the fight.
become comfortable with being like, okay, fuck, I'm gonna lose this.
Yeah, bro. It's fucked up because I mean, even when I got choked out, bro, because of everything that was happening in my life, it was like I was like, oh, I deserve to get choked out. As he was choking me out, but I was like, oh, this is Like I just gave into it. And that's why I'm like, bro, I need to fortify my mind, like not fake it. Like I've been talking it up for like the kids back home to be like, oh yeah, fucking do it. But really, like, bro, it's not. My mind's not fortified. Like my body is strong. Like it can always get stronger, and I'm focused on that. I'm like, yo, let's get as fit as fucking possible. But like from when I went through depression, like, it's actually sort of like knocked me off, and I've just tried to not focus on that. I'm like, oh no, it's all good. Like I'm at the gym, I'm training, I'm beating people up in the gym. But when it comes to the actual fight night, like your spirit and your mind have to just be
In tune.
fucking just to the point where you are willing to die. I used to fight like that all the time, and then I thought maybe that's why I'm depressed. Like, oh, it's because I've given too much. But like, it's a stupid way of thinking. Like, that's just not having a fully solid mindset.
Yeah.
But that one kind of fucking pissed me off because it was like there was one other. So when I lost against that guy in Aussie, I didn't think that. When I had my first ever loss, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I won. But also I was like, but I didn't knock him out. And so I was like, I've lost. And then I lost by like split decision. I was like, fuck, bro. I should have just kept thinking in my head that I won, and that might have influenced the judges.
Yeah.
So then I had another a loss later on. I was actually I had one more, but that was up at lightweight. And the cunt was way too heavy. I shouldn't have taken that fight. It was a bit dumb. I took it on like a week's notice. I was meant to fight at
Who's
featherweight.
that?
This guy, Damian Brown, who got into the UFC, but at lightweight. And he was like just way too big. Like, just too big for me. And he was way older, like way more experienced. But it was a close fight. But he's the one who gave me these stitches in my eye. Like, from an elbow. But the next loss I had was in New Zealand. And it was I knew I'd mind fucked myself because this guy was like 16-1 with 15 knockouts, but like starch, like people like curled toes up. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. I just
Deer in
kept
the
watching
headlight.
it. Yeah, bro, I just kept watching it. And then like when it came to the fight, I was a deer in the headlights, bro. I was just like, oh, running away. And there was this kind of fucked up shit that happened after that. That was like sort of added to my depression and shit. But we can leave that aside. Just say you shouldn't surround yourself with fucking negative people if they're gonna run you down right after you've just lost a fight.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that feeling again till that fight after I got knocked out. When I got knocked out, it was just like, fuck, I just fucked up. Like it felt like a tactical error. Like going into it, I was just not like in the right mindset. But then with that Venezuelan guy, I was at the end, the last like round. I was like, I could have pushed more, and I knew, but I was just like breathing instead. And then I wasn't like, if you're in the right mindset, you don't even think.
Yeah,
You just go, you go, and you just keep going. And then like thought I was like going, but then I slowed down, and then I was like, that's when you just go even harder. But I was just like, oh no, you need to take a breath. And then you start talking to yourself in your mind. You're like, yeah, bro. Like, no, you can have a breath. Like, fuck, this guy's real strong. Like, da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, that was like that sort of cut me. And then I didn't fight for like a year. Then I fought, a year and a bit actually. Oh no, sorry, it was 2 years. And then I fought in Perth against a guy, and it was like the fittest. I was the sharp. Like I had veins like fucking everywhere, bro. People were telling me like that had done bodybuilding shows, and like, fuck, we haven't seen. You don't even see people with that vascular in bodybuilding shows. So I was like, fuck, I'm so ripped. Like, I kept making jokes like, USADA, come test me. I was like, fuck, I've never been this like
Ready.
thing. Yeah, and then just in the week leading up, I was like, my mindset was like I'd let my foot off the pedal too early. And then when it came to the fight, this dude's a black belt. He took me down pretty early, and then I just was like a deer in the headlights again. I was just lying down there like doing like it called a leg reap. So I was holding him here. He was trying to advance, but I was basically holding myself, pinning myself to the ground as well. And then my coach, you just said, after a while, like it was like I couldn't even hear him. And then what he was saying was, get the fuck up. It felt like that. I was like, get the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then eventually it was like, get the fuck up. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, he like snapped me out of it. And I just got up straight away. And I was like, fuck, I could have been up at any point. But he held me down for like 2.5 minutes. And that's basically what cost me the fight. Like, it was a split decision. But it was like, it could have gone either way. And like, that was just that same moment. But anyway, when I tell stories, there's no like, there's no like.
No, I
it
feel
just
like
goes
I'm there
like
when
this.
you tell these
Yeah,
stories.
same.
Like, get the fuck up, get the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but
True. So how does the UFC like contracts and that work? Like, do you get like sign? Do you get paid like per each fight on a contract? And then what happens after that contract finishes?
yeah, so you get like a 4 fight. Well, they can be sneaky. Like they've got the best lawyers in the world, bro. So they just do different things. Like Sean O'Malley, he was on like a 10 fight contract for like 2,000 and 2,000, then 3,000 and 3,000. Like he would have had to negotiate it. But I was on like a 4 fight contract. Fought 3 of them, 2 1. We lost 1 2. Then got on a 4 fight contract, like more money. But it's how they always do it up until you get to the higher levels is like you get your show money. So that means you get that as soon as you fight, regardless of you win or lose. And then you get your win money, and it's always like 50-50. So if you get paid like $10,000 show, then you win, you'll get $10,000 more US.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's like sort of the starting-ish rate. I think maybe even they've chopped it down to like 8,000.
True.
Yeah, it's a hard business, bro. Like a lot of people outside the sport, they'll say this thing, and then in like one conversation, I'll sway them the other way, where they'll be like, oh no, I kind of understand it, like, because fighters need to, why they do the win bonus is like it'll make them fight harder. I'm like, it doesn't make you fight harder. Like wanting to win will make you fight harder.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to lose half your purse. You don't turn up to your job, your 8-hour job, and then they're like, oh, actually, it's not up to par, so you only get paid 4 hours today.
Yeah.
Like, no, but if you make sure that the quality control is up, then you'll get paid your full 8 hours. Like, no, I should get paid my 8 hours.
Yeah, hard out.
But when you get to the higher levels, then you can negotiate where it's just like how it is in boxing, where you just get a flat fee,
Oh,
like
true.
$150,000.
So what is that, like champions, or do you mean like top 3?
Yeah, no, like maybe like top 20. I think it's like
But just who's got a big name online, I reckon, eh?
Yeah,
Like, look
yeah,
at Taito Ivasa.
yeah.
He'll be
yeah,
getting
yeah,
his own like mountain shit because he brings in a massive following.
Yeah, and like, but he's smart. Him and Tyson are smart too. How they've done things outside of the fighting. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like I'm just learning from them a little bit too.
Yo,
Yeah.
what are they doing? The buds, eh?
Oh, you got Buds. They got Drink West with Nathan Cleary. They got their own like brewery now. They've created their
True.
own pub. They got what else has Bam Bam got? He's got that drink fucking thing like
does he
product
do that snorkel
thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
did he
got,
make the snuggles?
I don't know. I think that Troy Candy dude. I don't know.
Oh, I don't
Those
know.
But
yellow
he
ones?
probably has one.
It's like a TN that they've like turned into like a
Oh,
drink.
okay,
and you put
'cause of the
bottle in
shoey.
it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
little
Oh,
shoey.
true. Fuck, what
Yeah.
on count.
A couple other little things like, but he's doing well. But he makes more money outside the UFC than he does in the UFC, which is
Yeah.
the normal. Like even Izzy makes more money outside the UFC than probably does in the UFC with because he's like his dad's smart and he's got like lots of real estate properties that he's like diversified. Actually, Izzy might be different. He's fucking like mega superstar.
Yeah, hard.
Yeah,
That's
like-
buzzy that, bro. I just buzzed out that he's the biggest, like, superstar. Probably one of the biggest in the world, like, all
Oh,
round.
bro, 100%. Like he's actually cross because
Yeah.
everyone, any athlete, like you gravitate towards fighting. I've seen it in business now too. When I go
Yeah.
to like these business meetings, or like when I was at Formula One
Yeah.
with all the Lamborghini guys, couple billionaires here, like one really fucking smart billionaire, and he wanted to talk to me because he wanted to know about fighting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's got all these millionaires that own mines. These guys that own like fucking
Yeah.
300 or like 700 cars, like a $300 million car collection. They want to talk about cars. He's like, nah, tell me about Muay Thai and all that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Nah, because, bro, deep down, every guy wants to be a fighter, bro.
yeah,
Like, every guy has that, like, primal instinct where they think, like they can fight or they want to fight.
yeah.
So, like, when they
Can't run
can
away from
be
it.
around, like a superstar or anybody that's a UFC fighter or anything like that, they'll, like, naturally, like, want to come talk to you guys hard out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always buzz out about Izzy.
They become like the alpha in the room,
Yeah, hard.
even among like billionaires and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you know, no
Yeah.
matter what, like you can't give that guy a hiding.
Yeah, it's buzzy.
How was
Yeah.
the F1 Formula thing?
Oh, it was mad. Eh? It was like more like I like looking at like culture of things, even like that, like the culture of these business people, and seeing that was cool. Like, but I come in from I guess a unique perspective in terms of being a UFC fighter, and like just representing my brand, Unofficial. And just coming with my business partner and mentor, he was with Team Lamborghini, and I went there just to like sort of be involved with these people and just like network, I guess they call it. But
Yeah.
I've always heard that term networking, but I don't really network. I gravitate the people that I gravitate towards, and then they come back. And if even like I met like quite a really wealthy, a few like heaps of wealthy guys, but a few of them I was like you know, and the one was like. Yeah, it was probably more opportunistic to go and hang out with this dude.
Yeah.
But I always end up hanging out with the refugees.
Yeah.
They're self-made millionaires.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all the guys that had to do some like hectic shit
More relatable
to
way.
even go into business, and now
Yeah.
they're in business making it big. Yeah, and I just gravitate towards them, and then it's not networking to me. It's like these guys are mates. I'd fucking have a beer with this dude.
Yeah.
Like I'd just hang out with this guy, and he happens to be in business, and there could be a potential like crossover within our networks and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Fuck, that's cool." And the Formula One itself was me, but like what me and my mentor noticed, because he's a young fella, he's like a young fella, 37. He's from Central Auckland, like single mum, just like went through studies and built up his own company. So he like buzzes out. He's like, bro, imagine when we were like 15, if we could imagine us doing this now. So we look at it from that perspective of not
Yeah.
really knowing this life. And we were saying how the Formula One itself is not even like, no one's watching it.
Yeah,
They're
hard.
Yeah.
all coming for this, like, to sort of like hang out with other millionaires,
Yeah.
schmoozing type stuff. Like, it's out of it. Like, other than the last day everyone was focusing, like, heaps of stuff happened. I don't know if you watched the Formula One, but Max Verstappen, who's like the leader, he his car fucked out in like the second lap.
Yeah.
And then this other guy was winning. He was part of Williams Racing, and then he like crashed. And I heard it. I was like, oh, and it was like a real bad crash. And then everyone had to like pull over and stuff. And then Ferrari ended up winning 1 and 2. So for the actual Formula One fans, I was like, oh, that was pretty exciting. But still,
Yeah.
I'm just chatting to my immigrant mate.
Yeah,
Built all
yeah.
these gyms, and he's got like diamonds in his teeth. And I was like, this guy's cool.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, the content's mean as well. Willis is on. Does he
Yeah,
do all
yeah.
the content for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mean.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing in another guy as well because it's like the combat scene is like my bread and butter, and that's like where my network is. And I just know a guy who's like he it's a different type of content, fight content.
Yeah,
I believe,
Gotta
rather than
catch
like,
the emotions, eh?
yeah, and it takes time. It's just like it's hard, like so. Yeah, the whole fight scene is a different thing if you're coming in from a like even with like. So with like what I'm doing with Unofficial, like we're making this series at the moment where I've sponsored a couple fighters. So we've given money from the company to my charity, and now I'm sponsoring a couple fighters, and I'm trying to do it like from the perspective of when I was a young fella, how things happened. And for most part, like I've met heaps of different sponsors outside of Eugene, who is he runs a Attain Peace Sports Management, and Ash, who owns Engage. They're sort of the only guys that have. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. There's probably sponsors back then. But, bro, remember when I gave you $5,000 for nothing? Yeah. Shout out to SD.
We appreciate you all.
Yeah. There's like some guys that come into the sport. They'll come in. They'll be in there for 2-3 years, and then they'll get spit out because people realize that they're sort of like cons or whatever.
Yeah.
But like fighters is too giving in a lot of ways, and the sort of people have walked over fighters. Like, look at Mike Tyson, bro, the scariest cunt in the fucking world. And what's his name with the big boof here? That fucking
what's his name?
Showtime.
you know, and he's like
the promoter.
got the big mustache, like
Yeah.
Don King.
Yeah, Don King.
Don King extorted him for millions, bro.
Yeah.
Hey.
And bro, millions.
I haven't watched his story in that.
And he still talks
He's
nice
been
about Don
bankrupt
King
a few
now.
times, eh?
Yeah, he's been fucked over a few times, bro. It's an age-old thing of fighters, bro.
It's having no fighters union and shit, eh? You don't
Yeah.
have anyone like helping you through it. It's just these young guys being given millions of dollars and everyone promising them the world and fucking them over.
Yeah, so with Unofficial and sponsoring, like, and working in the combat sports space, like, I want to create something, like, long-lasting, a brand long-lasting that can help support up-and-coming fighters and, like, not even up-and-coming, because, like, there's fighters that are in their, like, late 30s that still could make it or want to make it. Like, you got to support them too. You don't just just for the 16-year-olds that are phenoms. Like,
hard.
that's it. You always see that. As
Are you
well.
only gonna do MMA or are you gonna do like boxing as well?
You mean spot like working with?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we did our first drop in February.
Yeah.
But we got like a bit. We're starting off a bit of accelerant, like with me as like the face and the managing director, and then like some good financial support, and then our network of people. So it is like, but we don't want to do like too much too fast. 'Cause we're playing in the long game. My long-term vision is to make it like Louis Vuitton from New Zealand, which is going to take 30, 40, 50 years. Like, it's just a different like term of thinking. This is like when I was 15 and kids would ask me like, bro, why do you get up at, because I used to be like into rugby hard out, and I was the captain of it was like sort of like the third 15 rugby team. So it was like a weight grade. And we went to the Auckland finals twice. So we're undefeated one year, and then another year we only lost that one game. And then they would ask me like, I'd try to get them to come train with me in the morning because I was still fighting. And I'd get up early, do my own training, go to school, do middle day training, and then do the afternoon training. And then they'd be like, why do you get up every morning to like run and shit? I was like, because I want to be in the UFC one day.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't fathom it. You know, and that was like, they're like, oh, you know, and then like every day there'd be something where they'd want to like, or even when I left school, like my ex would be like, oh, why don't you just stay in tonight, babe? Like, you've trained 3 times today already. Like, just stay in. I'm like, no, because I'm going to fucking be in the UFC. Like, that no one could actually see that vision.
Yeah.
Like, just me training every day and working every day, just like, it solidified that vision to me. But that's how I think with unofficial. It's just like I do these things and like working and I put my everything into it right then and there, and just keep doing that till eventually like there'll be a big pop off. Like I've already had one that I can't say now, like huge, and I'm just like, nah, I'm not even gonna do it, because I had this big breakthrough with a big ass company, but then I realized like that was like looking at short term gain.
Yeah.
So I've just had to like step back from that, and then
That's good
focus
to
on
like see, like keep your main focus there, and be able to say
it was
no
hard
to
to step
things.
away from that. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, I could really use that money.
Yeah.
But then it'd be like, it would oversaturate, and like, it just wasn't, I was like, oh, it's not really aligned with my long-term thing. Like that short-term gain. Like, it would have been mean, and it was like, it was a goal in like a year to get into these stores, like this chain. But then I was like, man, now it's actually here. It just like, it actually was never aligned with my thing. Maybe it'll still be like a small drop, or like, it was buzz me
So
out too.
is it clothing, t-shirts?
Yeah, at the moment, just t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and our winter drop's gonna be mean.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, hard.
It's gonna
You
be
guys, you
big
guys are
things,
pretty. You guys' gears are pretty sick.
Yeah,
Got a tee on right now.
we're gonna be representing at Shuriken April 20th, and Hex on May 4th.
Oh yeah, we're going to Hicks.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be there. I'll bring you up to our corporate suite
Yeah.
because we're sponsoring it. But
Oh, true.
the bro that my mentor, he's fucking legend, bro. Like, because he's self-made, so he's like, yeah, he just puts like money into things that are like good, and he's supporting something else. He's a big fight fan,
Yeah.
so we're one of the principal sponsors of Hex. And then he's like, even asking me, it's like cool being able to like, even though I have no business acumen or like knowledge and stuff, like other than being a PT and shit, I can contribute in other ways through fighting, which is like real mean. But he asked me like, oh, should we have a corporate suite or a table? I was like, fuck, bro, everyone gets a table, get a fucking suite, G. Because it's at the Trust Arena out west. I was like, fuck, I've never been to a fight show that had corporate suites, bro.
Yeah,
like, that'll
yeah.
be mean. I'll invite
I
people
wish we
up
were
and
going
stuff.
there now.
Yeah, G. Yeah.
Get us some tickets. 3 tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, 4.
Yep. Nah, we'll sort something out.
We'll
bro.
cut
Still
this
a
whole
month
part
away.
of unofficial out of the episode.
Just a blank.
Yeah, blurred shirt the whole time.
Blue shirt until we get those tickets.
Nah, you're joking. I'll sort you out, G. Hard.
What are you doing at Shuriken?
So I'm sponsoring Gina G, who's one of my best mates. She's a mother of 5.
Shit.
Solo mother of 5. Tongan. White, blonde, blue eyes with a gold tooth.
Hey.
And she's got 2 kids. One's 130 kilos. Oh, sorry, 2 like older. They're like, one's 19.
Does
the
she
other's
sound
like
Tongan or
14.
is she talking?
Yeah, she sounds. So she's from the village, bro.
Oh, true.
Yeah, but she's blonde, blue eyes, white. Like,
Hey.
tough as fuck. Like,
Shit.
if you can find something, you should put a little thing up here of her beating someone up.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
mum of 5, like 2, and that she's real strong. And we sort of figured out. I was like, "Fuck, why are you so strong?" It's like, bro, it's from carrying these massive babies
Yeah.
of yours, carrying 5 of them. You've been slinging them around. Like, she had 5 kids under 6,
Whoa.
under 6 years old. Yeah,
Fuck.
she became so good at like giving birth that on her way to one of her like pregnancies, she was like, "No, mum, stop! I need to get in." She stood in line for a fucking custard cream slice, like, and she'd be like, she was standing in line, and then she'd get like the contraction. She'd be like no one even knew, and then she'd be like, "All good." Like, it was like, she was like, "Nah, it's all right. They're about like 10 minutes apart. Like, we're all good." Like,
What
she
a
just became an
beast.
expert at like,
Fuck, solid.
yeah.
That's
So
the shit.
we're sponsoring her, who she's the co-main event of Shuriken, and then we're sponsoring right down at the other end, Nixon Suddens, who's 18, and he's like the second fight on the show. So good, like wide berth.
Do you reckon is he a beast?
He's the smart marketing ploy. He's a phenom. Like he's like a Israel of jiu-jitsu and wrestling, bro.
Oh, yeah,
and now
yeah.
he trains at City Kickboxing.
Oh, yo,
Yeah.
mean.
But
Sick.
it's cool sponsoring him for that, but then also sponsoring Gina, because I believe her story can inspire so many women in the world, and that's like been a big thing with me being raised by a single mum and going to an all boys boarding school, like a longer term dream, like probably when I'm like in my 80s or some shit, I might be like Dilworth and end up dying before it happens, but is to make a Dilworth school for girls, because I think my mum would have been able to go to that. Like she's pretty switched on, but just never had any environment to like show that she's switched on. But yeah, I think Gina's story will inspire so many girls to, if not train and fight and stuff, but just believe more in themselves, because like from the villages, bro, and then come to New Zealand, and she was Mormon, and I should let her tell her own story, but she's an amazing chick.
Nah, I mean, so what's your goal? Like, are you going back to the UFC, or you have to? How, like, is your contract finished with UFC?
Yeah, my contract's finished with UFC.
Oh yeah. So how do you get back into UFC? Or do you just buzz them and be like, "Yo, I'm coming back"?
The thing is, I don't know if I want to be back in the UFC.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I mean, not that I want to fight at a higher level. My long-term goal, like 5-year goal, is to be a world champion in one of the top MMA promotions.
Being Bellator.
Yeah. Nah, Bellator got bought out by someone.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Maybe them. Yeah, but there's other organizations, and I don't know. We'll see as it comes, but right now my focus is doing that compartmentalizing and working on my mental fortitude and doing charity stuff outside of fighting, because like I think for a long time I've been trying to do charity inside my own like fighting for others, instead of you got to fight for yourself, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'd realized that I still probably realizing it, like trying to fight for others, like fight for kids in Napia and shit. Like, fuck, at the end of the day, like you got to fight for yourself, because that's the most primal urge, is self-preservation.
Yeah.
And that is what will stop you from getting choked out. Like, you know, like
what does that mean? What does
preservation
mean?
Self-preservation. Nah, just like to keep yourself alive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but if I feel like sometimes if like fighting for others is like, you're like, oh no, but I could be a martyr. You know what a martyr is? Like,
No.
Yeah.
like someone that like gets murked for others so that they don't get murked.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe that's what I've done in the last like while, is like, anyway, it's gonna be a mad story arc. We're like, yo, fucking all the way up here, down here, and then he's a fucking world champion now. Like, that'll be more inspiring.
It's all part
to
of
kids.
the movie, eh?
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. You're working on shit that you need to do for the inside. That's like my main thing right now. Like this year, like I've just been doing shit that's for me, but like it'll affect everybody around me in a good way. But like I know if I wasn't doing that, like if I was still building, but it like helps my family out, it wouldn't be helping me, but my family would be all good. But now that I'm doing something that like actually helps me, and now it's slowly starting to generate some money, now I'm like actually deep down happy. And like I feel like you're doing that same thing now.
But I see that in you too, even from when we like first met, the transformation to now, and then you're like, you can meet someone and then you feel the energy, but the other people that know you, that are around you as well, see it, and then that's like, I feel it, I see what you're doing, but I was like, man, he's doing so much for others, but then hearing you say, actually, you're doing shit for yourself, and then I've just thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, so you stopped building, and you're doing boxing, which is like fucking, mega selfish, and which is all good, but sorry, but yeah, you're actually doing what I want to do, and like,
but you're doing that. That's what I figured out. Like, if you do shit for yourself, that's gonna impact everyone else. That I feel like that's your actual like true alignment. Like, that's you living in your actual direction. I don't know how to say it.
It is. It's good. I reckon it's good to be selfish. Like when you were boxing, like you spent so much time away from the house, but he'd always come home a better person. He'd like give us 100% at home. He'd be like a better dad, better partner, because he was like doing things to build himself up and something that he wanted to do, not just like what I ask of him, or what like being a dad asks of him, or being an employee asks of him, like he did something purely for himself, and that was what worked.
And now even working with like how I'm going to start working with these kids and just helping these people. I just did like a collab as well with like a Snap Fitness with my mindset program. Even my mindset program, like it's helping other people, but the main thing is that like I'm getting major benefits from it. Like the more people I help, the more stuff I'm learning. Like I can just interact with anyone now, and it's helping me like master these tools that I'm teaching them. Like, so say I was teaching you like meditation, then like I'd catch up with you, and then you'd be like, tell me something different about that happened in your meditation thing, and I'm like, oh shit, maybe someone else is getting. Then everybody's got all different experiences from it, which makes you like develop even better to like show the new people that jump on board another angle of that tool. So like I'm getting benefits from this shit as well.
Is that still
Yeah.
going?
It's
There's
almost like I'm being selfish, but
Is
I'm
it
not.
There's
Still
a
going, Has?
a Māori
Has.
quote.
Is that still going?
I don't know what the word is. I can't remember, like arero or something, but it means like it's basically like the greatest form of learning is to teach. Like if you can teach, then you'll actually learn even more.
Yeah.
Like, but I was like, fuck, that was what just came to mind when you're talking about that.
But that's what you're doing.
Trying to more selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got so weird, not so weird, like so deep into it where it was like, I'd give heart, like, I'd know I'd get the karma back type thing. So I'd like just say like for instance, if I was driving, I seen a homeless person, I'd give him like $20, and then my head would be like, bro, my karma from that's gonna be me,
Oh shit.
and like drive off.
Yeah.
Like where I just had like, and then I had to like learn like that's not the actual right mindset to have around it. But that's how deep I got into that.
Yeah, nah, that's on, bro. I'm. You just taught me that because I was like, fuck. I always keep like coins in my thing, and then like trying to give. Yeah, nah, that's actually what I'm doing it for. Not like it's not even for me.
Yeah.
Like, should just keep it for me then. Like, fucking take some money off my coffee
Or like
bill.
benefiting other people's karma is something that I've learned. Like when people would offer me, say someone like offered to buy my dinner if we were out for dinner, I'd be like, no. Like I have to, I have to be even, like don't pay for my dinner. But you're actually just messing with their karma. Like they're going to get something from that. And by saying no and trying to be a people pleaser and like being square with someone, you're actually messing with that person's karma.
Yeah, and it might be your good karma coming back as well, and you're like, oh nah.
Yeah, that could have been karma returned to me.
Yeah, I do that I've just started doing that as well. When you taught me that like a few weeks ago, when people like compliment you, when they're like, fuck, you're doing, and you're like, nah, bro. But now I just say thank you. I'm like, oh, thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Like means a lot. Before
hard,
I'd be like, nah, bro, that's not me. But like, shot for the message. Now I'm like, bro, thank you, because it's actually just it's just coming back to you. It's just full circle.
Yeah, hard.
So you're not blocking anything anymore. And then it's happening more now for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah.
More good things, eh?
Yeah. When you don't block that route.
It's just frequency coming back.
Yeah, hard out.
Oh, we should do another one and just talk about that stuff
Yeah,
instead of all
like
the fighting. Now that we've
spirituality.
like got the physical.
Bro, we can
plane
talk
out
about it
of the way.
right now.
Oh, mate, this is like. Well, I'm actually part of your mindset group.
yeah.
I'm being a very bad student at the moment.
Yeah. He's doing my mindset program and bro.
And I'm doing your
He's the
head
worst in the class.
Straight up.
Yeah. But nah, it's mean. Yeah, you'll learn heaps of things. Heaps of things that'll like, it's the main thing I made it is because like in life, humans always get shit taken from them all the time. Like, and they're like, fuck. And they'll be like fucked up. Like they'll get physical shit taken from them. But then I figured out there's like tools that you can learn that no one can ever take away from you. No matter what, even if you got put in jail, everything taken from you, these tools can't get taken from you. So I was like, bro, let's master those tools. And now like I teach people to master those tools. And once you get that on lock, it's good. Everything's good.
Got 10 more weeks to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do it. Yeah.
But it's just it's just tools that no one can ever like take away from you, bro.
Yeah,
it's
hard
like-
out.
Sounds like fighting, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
It is.
Those are skills I'll never lose.
Yeah, hard out.
I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, hard
Nah,
out.
yeah, hard. But fuck.
Excellent.
Should we do a wrap up?
Yeah, my old man's here.
Oh, yo. Fuck, well, it's been mean having you on the show, bro. Is this anything you want to just leave us with?
When you know the way broadly, you can see it in all things.
Oh.
Miyamoto Musashi.
That's nice.
Nah, I mean, brother, fuck, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Can't wait to air this one.
Thanks so much.
Shot for tapping in, everyone. See you later.